Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Hi everyone. In this video, we will be working on question 2 from the file of question 4 of the coverage of grade 11 EOT for term 2. So, we have a similar question to question 1. This is the graph of f, its continuous function on the closed interval from -5 to 5. It consists of a parabola and two line segments, and there is another function g, which is the same as which is given by g prime of x equals f of x. So as we did in the previous question, if you have seen the video, this is the graph of f, and at the same time it is the graph of what? It's the graph of g prime of x, because it's given in the question that g prime of x equals f of x. Now we need to complete the table. We will find the missing entries in the table. We will indicate positive, negative, or 0, and also we need to give reasons for our answers. So the table states the sign of f of x for four different intervals. We need to find f prime of x. What's the sign? Or is it 0 for -5 to 2? So as we discussed in the previous question, from -5 to 2, f is increasing. So if f is increasing, its derivative is positive. Its derivative is what? Its derivative is positive. And we can see that it's also from 0 to 3 increasing, right? So here it's also what? Increasing. So from -5 to -2, and the other interval from 0 to 3, we have written f prime is what? Positive, because f is increasing, right? Now, what happens from -3 to 0? Well, it's decreasing. From 3 to 5, it's decreasing. If it's decreasing, that means its derivative will be negative, right? Its derivative will be negative. Yani, from -2 to 0 and from 3 to 5, f prime is negative because f is decreasing. Right? So, what about the second derivative? What about the second derivative? Okay, so from -5 all the way to -3, and from -3 to 0, I can see that the second derivative should be negative because the function is concave down, right? So, from -5 all the way to -3 and -3 all the way to 0, f double prime is negative. Why negative? Because f is concave down. Now, what about the second derivative sign from 0 to 3? Well, from 0 to 3, it's linear. If it's linear, that means the first derivative will be constant and the second derivative will be 0. Also, from 3 to 5, it has to be 0. So, from 0 to 3 and from 3 to 5, f double prime is 0 because f is what? linear there. Linear, that means first derivative will be constant, the second derivative will be 0. So please mention those reasons while completing the table. Okay, the second part is there is no value of x in the open interval from -1 to 3 at which f prime of x equals f of 3 minus f of minus 1 over 3 minus -1. Explain why this does not violate the mean value theorem. Well, if you look at the graph from -1 to 3, the mean value theorem won't be applicable here from -1 to 3, because at 0 here there is a sharp corner, so f is not differentiable at 0, right? So to answer part B, we can say that the mean value theorem does not apply on the given interval. What's the given interval? On -1 to 3, right? Because f is not differentiable at x equals 0 due to a sharp point or corner. So this does not violate the mean value theorem. So part C says find all values of x in the open interval at which the graph of G, says the graph of G has a point of inflection. This is the graph of G as a point of inflection. Well, we said this is the graph of f, and at the same time it's the graph of G prime of x. So now, okay, so this is the graph of G prime. Now what happens here? G prime is increasing. That means G double prime is positive, right? And here it's the same, right? G prime is increasing. That means G double prime is positive. But here and here, what happens? In blue, G prime is going down, يعني decreasing. Okay? يعني G double prime is negative. Right? So G double prime, it changes sign because G prime changes from increasing to decreasing or decreasing to increasing at x equals, you look back at the graph, at x equals -2, -1, right? Sorry, -2 and 0 and 3. -2, x equals 0 and x equals 3. So at those three values, G prime changes from increasing to decreasing or decreasing to increasing. يعني G double prime changes sign. And when G double prime changes sign, That point is called a point of inflection. The last part, at what value of x does G attain its absolute maximum on the closed interval from -5 to 5? Well, for part D, for the last part, notice that on the whole interval, on the interval from -5 to 5, okay, we need to find at what value of x does G happen, okay? This is at G attain its absolute maximum. On this interval from -5 to 5, G prime is positive. ليش positive? It is above the x-axis. Okay, what does that mean to be above the x-axis and G prime is positive? G prime is positive, that means G is increasing. So from -5 all the way to 5, the function is increasing. So what do we have at the right endpoint at x equals 5? We have an absolute maximum. Absolute maximum.